Hello. You are listening to the Carroll Connection with your host, Jared Carroll.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Carroll Connection. I'm your host, Jared Carroll, here to bring you guys another great episode. I did want to take a chance to shout out my last episode, episode 141 with Adam Barabee. He came on the podcast and we talked a little bit about his upbringing, talking what it was like being adopted from Guatemala, talking about that entire experience. And then he talked a lot. Our back end of that conversation was his experience using ayahuasca, which was, it was really dope, really dope. Yeah. And, I was really interested to hear his whole experience regarding that. He went down to Cancun, talked about the ritual, did this whole thing for his birthday. Pretty cool stuff.
Did he go to? So did he? How did he find the shaman? Like, did he explain?
He found it through his girlfriend's brother, which did the whole experience beforehand. Enjoyed the experience, recommended it to him, did it for his birthday.
Wow.
Great stuff. But if you guys want to check out that episode, you can check it out at thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com, also Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major listening platforms. If you like to watch the podcast, you can check it out on YouTube, search The Carroll Connection or at Jared M. Carroll, pop up right for you. And if you want to be a guest or return as a guest, hit me up on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at The Carroll Connection, and we'll set it right up for you guys. For today's episode 142, bringing back one of my personal favorites, Eli, host of the Spawncast podcast.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on.
It
feels great to fucking be back on.
And
dude.
You haven't been on since episode 122 back in November with Wally. Shout out to Ever Changing Vibe.
Yep. Actually, I'm wearing the shirt.
You're wearing the shirt. You were just on the podcast last night. So
yeah,
by the time that this comes out, your episode probably be a week or two behind.
Oh, okay.
Usually on that. I think he's usually a delayed release.
Yeah,
That's kind of what he usually does. So tons of content coming with Eli. So be prepared for that. But glad to have you back, man. It's been since I think it was episode 55 that we mentioned off air. The first time you came on the podcast, and I forget I think it was 2020. Yeah, 2021 because I started. I think it would have been 2021. When that episode happened originally. And we were talking about how you didn't even have the podcast at that point yet. And you were kind of just getting into the content space, doing your art and stuff. So we were really talking about that a lot. And then on episode 122, we talked a lot about just podcasting. You moved to Virginia. You're back right now visiting. So I was just glad to get you on the podcast and just be able to interview you just away from everyone, just me and you having a conversation again, man. It's always great vibes, and it's always nice to talk to someone who does content and does a style similar to mine in the sense of just interviewing people and talking to people. I think it's super genuine, super authentic, and it's honest. When I watch your content, you're asking questions because you legitimately want to know and you want to put people's businesses on. So I think that's really dope. And being able to do it in a space different than where you're originally from, all the power to you, because that takes a lot of balls to kind of put yourself out there, meet new people, create new relationships. It's incredible stuff, man. You should be really proud about the content that you've been making and taking those steps forward to progress yourself. It's a lot there.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And I wanted to send flowers quick to you too, because going back to episode 55 and how much this podcast has grown. It's phenomenal, man. Seriously, and like I said the first day I met you, man, you're going to be the next Joe Rogan. Seriously, just keep doing you. And I was going to say it's a random thing because I know you said YouTube. Are you on Rumble by any chance?
No, I haven't. I've been seeing that you're on Rumble and stuff. That's something I thought of literally when I saw you start doing it, I was damn, I should get, because I have Rumble. I use Rumble. I'm
oh really? Do you use it more than YouTube, or is it just kind of just a habit, just for when you do?
When I do need for certain creators that I'm not gonna say.
Andrew Tate? That would be, if you get Andrew Tate on this fucking podcast, that would be sick. Yeah. He's like, no.
No. He wouldn't do that.
You never know.
Probably not.
Hey, top G's seek to other top G's. All right? And we're the top GGs. GG.
Well, it's him, Steve will do it. I saw Kai Singing is from Twitch is going to Rumble.
Yeah.
I Show Speed going to Rumble. I know Aiden Ross went to Kick. It's another, basically another Twitch, but it's like Rumble. But it's more centered towards streamers and stuff. Rumble's obviously the competitor for YouTube.
Yep.
Kick is supposed to be the competitor to Twitch.
Wait, KIK?
I think it's KIK.
Okay,
Yeah.
it reminds me of that little chat thing back when I was like in middle school, high
Oh,
school.
like,
Whenever you
was
see
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was kick, yeah, right?
Yeah, but I think theirs might actually be like KICK, like actually kick.
Oh, like take a kick out.
Yeah,
of this?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. But was it called kick? Like the KIK?
That's why I'm remembering, but my stoned ass probably forgot, man. I was like, God damn it, I need to calm down on this cannabis real quick.
No, but like, yeah, it's like, oh, what the fuck? That app was so weird.
Reminds me of Vine.
I downloaded it for like once, and I was like, yeah, I'm not using this shit. It was very sketchy vibes. It gives very like Tumblr-esque, like, but like with pedophiles.
Yo, my God, yo, literally, because you would get these random messages from like almost like Nigerian princes, but like with stuff like Asians, like, oh, I'm so honey, like, what did you see? It's like, wait, what the fuck?
It's like, bro,
delete, block.
It was like almost like the early like way for people to like send messages, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say it overtly, but like send messages like that, like before Snapchat was like really like prominent for doing that.
Oh, yo,
yeah.
What if it was like the pre-OnlyFans?
Yeah, they could have been onto something. It's like Blockbuster with like the whole Netflix thing. It was way ahead of its time, and like,
bruh. I think there's still one standing in Alaska.
I think there's. I don't know if it's Alaska. I know there's like one like building left. It's like the original building or whatever it is, or something like that.
OG.
I'm pretty sure it's like the original like location. They may have done like updates or something. But like I think there's like one left.
That's
basically.
My bucket list.
But
just to go there, rent a game, and never give it back.
They would hunt you down.
They have like all their finances now is to hunt people down who never return their goddamn movies. They get kicked down their door like, you haven't returned fucking Sonic Riders since fucking 2012.
Sonic Riders.
You ever play that game?
Dude, Sonic games are so fire. There's one that I had for GameCube, and I forget the little fucking like little creatures that you could like raise in the eggs and stuff. Yo, did I just unlock a memory for you, bro?
Yes, you fucking, that's a deep ass memory. You had the blue one with yellow tips on the end.
Yep,
and the black
and they could
one
have
with,
halos
like,
and stuff too. Like they could be good ones and bad ones. Like
yes, bro. That was, I think, Sonic Adventures.
It might. I have it up. My brother still has it upstairs.
Really?
Like,
on the GameCube?
Yeah. Well, he has it on the Wii, but like the GameCube disc. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's so smart too. Honestly, if you still have a Wii out there, dude, smart ass motherfucker. Because I still have my GameCube, luckily, but like, you know, I feel like the Wii is just, you know, you have the best of both worlds. You know, play the Wii bowling.
Dude, the Wii was so ahead of its time, bro. Like I remember like that like Christmas when it was like the hot thing. And like, dude, if you didn't have a Wii, you were just behind. Yeah. Like people doing the Wii bowling, the boxing, like the baseball, the tennis. Like, bro, that shit was crazy. It's so sad to see the rapid decline of Nintendo after that. It's come back with the Switch. The Switch had a really big comeback, especially because of COVID. It was a huge boost in sales for them. But man, they really dropped the ball after the Wii shit. Like just like because they went so interactive versus like gaming. They kind of left true gamers behind and went more into like it's the Wii, the joystick, this is what you use. And then they obviously eventually created the controller after people like wanted it so much they could play the fucking game the way they wanted to play it.
Exactly.
But it's like the whole like interactive sense of that video game and that system was so crazy. It was so like revolutionized like the way that games were played. Cause then I remember like those was it Connect for Xbox? But they had the was it called Connect?
Yeah, no,
I
you're
forget
right.
what it was. And then
the Connect.
And then PlayStation.
I forgot about that. You're bringing back fucking
bro.
Like, it's not even that long ago either. The Connect. Like,
and then the PlayStation made their version. I forget what PlayStation's was called.
No, I'm thinking
PSP. Well, that was ahead of its time. Like they really fumbled the bag with that one. Like
I think they're actually bringing it. I think they're remaking a new version of the PSP.
That would be fun.
That's what I've heard, but don't
call me.
Yeah, I'm not the.
I think I've heard that too, though. To be fair, like I think I've like heard them talk about like trying to make a newer version of it, basically.
I think it's because a lot of people now are starting to get out there more and travel, because of lockdowns and stuff like that. After all the lockdowns, people are starting to and I think portability is just convenient now. It's just the convenience of having it. Like that's honestly why I bought the Switch. Like luckily before they fucking like with COVID they sold the fuck out. It was hard to find. Luckily I bought one before that shit.
Yeah, dude. I remember like just like trying to like because I got kind of like the itch to buy one and like you look, it was like couldn't find one, and then if you looked at after sellers, crazy resale value. Like it was through the roof. It was like I'm not paying that much for it. It's like, well, whatever. I'm just not gonna buy a system then.
Yeah.
But it's like if I've heard rumors they make a new Mario Sluggers, I would definitely buy one. Bro, this is the flashback episode.
Yes, dude. This is really, dude. It's funny because I literally was playing Mario Baseball before I came down here on my GameCube.
Really?
Yes, all
dude,
Superstars.
The original one.
Yep.
Like fire. That's one of the best Mario like sports games ever created. Like the soccer ones like were good, but like, and obviously like Mario Kart is like amazing, but like Mario Super Sluggers, bro, and like amazing. Like I was like I loved that fucking shit. Like is I'm surprised they made a basketball one, but they never went football. I was surprised they never did that. They never really tried to.
Wow, you're right. Yeah.
And I saw somewhere on TikTok, like Yoshi kicking field goals. So like I don't know if they were trying to make something
Yeah.
or like how they were working it, but like it was Mario wearing a helmet and stuff, and I was like, this could be
Yes.
fire. This could be fire.
Yeah, I'm surprised. That's actually pretty astonishing now that you really say it. That they, they hit every sport except football, and especially now, like even on the Wii, that would even been sick. Imagine with the Joy-Con,
Bro.
fucking throwing it to DK on that fucking end field. Yeah, motherfucker.
If they just like could have like created like VR sooner with the Wii, that would have been like top tier. Because like the way things are going with like the Oculus and stuff, it's pretty close to like how the Wii was with the joystick and shit. Like it's a lot of the similar movements, but obviously you just have a headset on.
Yeah.
So it's like we kind of fumbled the bag a little bit with that. But I mean, they definitely made a bag off the Wii's when they first came out. That was like the craziest thing. But
they were swimming in that fucking dough. God damn.
Dude, Mario Baseball though, that was like crack to me, dude. That shit was so fucking good.
You literally had rivalries with your goddamn family members. You're like, fuck you, I'm gonna fucking win. Shout out to all my cousins who play with me, dude. Every time we play, it just gets fucking intense, bro. It's just because this is one of those games, man. It's just very competitive, and even though it'd be glitchy as fuck, like some bullshit happens where your guy someone catches the ball from like 5 feet away.
Oh my God,
that's when you're just like, what the fuck? Like just like about to throw the guy out.
Or it looks like it's gonna be a home run and they scale the wall like super. It's like, dude, what the? It's like, come on now.
Like Toad, the fucking midget, just fucking jumps like 50 feet. You're like, what the heck is this?
Did you end up seeing the new Mario movie?
Nah, have you?
Yes, I did.
Is it good?
I
Actually?
did like it actually. It was I'm not gonna ruin it for you because like I figured you probably eventually will see it at some point. But they based it off of kind of the original storyline, like the original show back in the day, which I liked. It made it like,
oh, you actually watched the show back then?
I didn't, but I'm like, that's what like I was reading was like the story of it makes a lot more sense of like how Mario and Luigi end up in that world basically. So I won't dive into too much of like revealing, but like they do a good job of making it like it's obviously an animated movie, but like I like what they did to make it like kind of not say realistic, but like more believable in the story of like how they end up there instead of just like them being there. Like it's like obviously it's Mario and Luigi, they're plumbers. That's the whole point. And then it's like you'll see like when
they actually good roots into the origin of their
like it starts off like good, like so like you can understand how they get there, and I really enjoyed the movie. Like it was
good.
definitely.
I'm happy to hear that because I thought it was just one of those cash grabs. You know what I mean? Like the milk, all the fucking nostalgia kind of shit. Because I'm like thinking too. I'm like, dude, how long? Like, because Mario's a great. Great. Like I said, great games, great stuff like that. But how long is it gonna last? You know what I mean? Because like now you have Pokemon where they don't have Ash anymore. You know, like is that them trying to like just attract like a newer audience now because it's like the nostalgia, all the nostalgia is kind of like over now. Like
what they should do is remake the movies and like do like the original Pokemon. But go with this new like animated like CGI stuff with the Pokemon. I think that would look so fucking dope. And like maybe I don't know if you want to do real people. I would probably say no to that and like do like the whole like fully animated, but like make the Pokemon look cooler almost. Because I think with the CGI stuff, you can make that shit look really fucking dope. So I would hope that they would do that because like you said, without Ash, like the show is just kind of like it's not. The whole thing is not the same, and like the fact is like thousands of Pokemon, like it just kind of takes the steam out of the whole original stuff. So it's like I'm so disconnected from it, where it's like this is not the same. Like it's not the nostalgia is there, but it's like the new stuff. Like when I see my brother playing like all the new Pokemon games, I'm like it just doesn't do it for me. I'm like it looks cool. I'm like it's just not the same. Like I remember playing like on the Game Boy, all the fucking like red and like dude, like the yellow, just playing the different versions and like each year they're adding new versions. Like I'd say the first 3 generations of Pokemon, that was lit, and then after that, I kind of just like stopped really caring.
Honestly, my first Pokemon game, I think was either because I actually didn't play the Game Boy original. I played I'm thinking it's either the GameCube one, the Pokemon Shadow XD. I don't know if you played that one. It was a GameCube exclusive or Pokemon Coliseum. I don't know if
Coliseum. I played Coliseum.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I played the second one. Basically,
he still plays it to this day.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I had both fucking copies, dude. Fuck yeah.
You know who my brother was playing the other day that brought back unlocked crazy memories from the GameCube was Bomberman Generation. I don't know if you ever played Bomberman.
Bomberman, damn, that sounds mad familiar. Fuck, is that with the one with the worm, like the little ass like toe looking worm?
It's
motherfuckers?
I have to show you. I don't want to mess up
Yeah,
my
no,
recording,
worries.
but like,
Yeah, we can search it after.
I was hoping that would unlock some stuff because we were hitting every point. But it's the main original Bomberman guy's like he's in like kind of like a white like space. It looks like a spacesuit almost, but it's not. Like kind of like stick figure almost,
Okay.
but like head kind of shaped like a bomb, like a little circle, like on the top.
Damn, it does sound fucking familiar.
I feel like if I showed you it, like you would actually like know what the fuck I'm talking about. But
it sounds familiar. I'd watch. It's gonna be in the middle of the podcast. Like,
we'll,
fucking this.
we'll bring back. I wanna switch a little gears.
Yeah.
I mean, we just went on like a 15-minute rant about video games, Mario, Pokemon, like
nostalgia.
But switching back to kind of the reason you're here.
Yeah.
How have things been, I should say, in Virginia? What's it been like with the podcast? How are things going for you? Like, what's the expectations with the podcast? Kind of like catch everybody up, man. This has been a lot.
I know it has been a while. And again, like I said, just seeing both of us, how much we've grown since I've left. Well, not this recent, but the first time I've been here, it's pretty phenomenal because, I started the spot because I think I was starting Grand Rising, the podcast first, which was just solo episodes of me. Just honestly, it was kind of like a journal, kind of just talk about whatever topics of just spontaneousness. And it was like, fuck it, I found this interesting. So I did that for I was doing that at the time, and then when in the conversation we had was like, I'm like, I don't know if I should move to Virginia, and you're like, you should, you gave me the advice, just do it, and obviously I did it, and I'm glad I did it. I'm very happy I did it, and for anyone out there too as well, like if you have something you're thinking about for too long, just do it. Obviously it's something that it's again, but with the tattoo idea you were talking about earlier, it's like logical, emotional, because like of course like it is like the emotions of like you want to follow your passions, but also being logical at the same time. And sometimes you just gotta take that risk and follow your heart and go for those dreams, and I made so many connections. Ironically, Carroll connection, but I've had local entrepreneurs on, people I've, helped in their journey as well when it comes to like content. Cause I've had actually 757 Sessions podcast, shout out to y'all. They were just starting to do podcasts, and they're like, oh, like, it'd be cool to have you on. And that was cool to like sit down with them and like tell them like, the roadcaster, because they didn't have one. They had like a small little like recorder. I was like, oh, like, try this, if you're really dedicated, like give them ideas and like be more of help. Like, like like to people in this content, world, and like seeing how great it is and how many more people out there than I thought there was, it humbles you too, as well, to like know, like you aren't alone in this journey.
Yeah, 100%. Like having someone to kind of bounce ideas. And that's why I always like shout out to like Wally, shout out to Geo, shout out to yourself, like people that are in the space that understand what it's like making content, especially podcasts. Cause like not so many people do podcasts like within like our kind of circle almost. So when you meet people that are kind of doing similar things, to kind of share ideas, to brainstorm like what's working for you, and like seeing like how things are, like having Geo in, kind of just like looking at my camera, seeing different like aspects of it, like telling me, oh, this has this feature, this has that feature, stuff that I just didn't know. And like even getting my Roadcaster, that was huge. Like shout out to like Wally, because like I got to collab with him a little bit, and he had a Roadcaster first, and I was like, this shit's dope. And then like I brought my camera with it to like our collab, and we were able to connect it and like see it all work out together. And I was like, this shit's really dope, and it made me invest more into my podcast. So like I really agree with what you're saying about like having someone to kind of bounce ideas off of and like relate to people and help people, and like it's all about that collaboration aspect, and like creating those connections, like you said, are so important in content, and being able to do that and continually do that is great. And like I like the style that you do, and maybe I'm a little biased because I do the similar style of interviewing people.
It's like, yours is fucking trashy. Like, start talking shit. I'm like, damn, this is a roast podcast. I love it. Start roasting back.
But it's like being like having that chance to like, I know kind of what you're going through in the process, like thinking of the questions, not trying to step on the toes of the guest, but trying to get them comfortable to talk and like asking the right questions. Like, what's like kind of like the thought process and kind of like the learning curve that you had to go through with like being able to interview someone? Because obviously every person you interview is going to have a different way that they communicate and a different level of comfortability that they have with people. So how has that journey been for you, learning how to like balance that?
Dude, it's very eye-opening for myself, honestly. Like, as because then it amplifies your skills to like it almost when we talk about just like flex your muscles, making sure you keep it consistent, like making sure you're working out that muscle and being a public speaker or communicator is that takes a lot of muscle, and especially nowadays where people don't have that social skills as well anymore. They're not as strong. Due to disconnect of not being outside or just like being in social gatherings as much, but hopefully now people are starting to go out there. But it's starting to become a more rare trait, and I've noticed it like through guests. Like actually, I don't know if this is like something you do. Actually, this is actually a question I want to ask you. I'm gonna reverse it real quick. So, because I had some, there's people that are hitting me up now that want to come to the podcast. Like, do you? Because there's people. I had someone that came on. They were very like on the text. We were very interactive back and forth. He seemed like a very talkative individual. Oh, okay. He seems like be perfect for this. And then as soon as they got on the podcast, everything started rolling. It was just like silent, like quiet. Just like, and that's again, it's a learning experience because then you never know how people are going to react to the camera, which and then in turn is a challenge for you in podcasting. Is just be like, all right, how can I maneuver and make this as comfortable, without stepping on their toes, and like how can I break their show, and that one episode is definitely a big like a large learning curve. Like I rewatched it, I'm like, oh damn, like I could have done this better, but it was good. It was a challenge that was necessary at the time that I didn't know I needed, and obviously there's so much more, every, for, thousands, millions of people out there in the world, there's definitely different ways to learn how to articulate your thoughts and have them do the same, and get them comfortable, because it's not easy, it's especially when you're having them come to your studio and your energy. Like I know you fully understand. It's trying to have them understand you're basically trying to have them be your best friend, like even though you just met. It's like because you try to be your most authentic, open self, of course, so they can feel comfortable. Like, oh, okay, I can be, But it takes time. And that's why I've learned too is how to navigate through, how people conversate. So it's a great learning experience. I can't wait to see like who else like I'm gonna meet out there, man. It's pretty cool. But like, is that a problem you've had with by any chance, like going like doing podcasts?
What have I? Have I? It's there's what I've kind of come to realize is you're gonna have good episodes, you're gonna have bad episodes. Like it's gonna happen. Like there's gonna be people. It would be more shocking for what you're talking about is when you had someone reach out and then not talk. That's something that I've not experienced yet. I'd say most people who reach out, typically their episodes tend to be a little bit better sometimes, because if you're reaching out, especially when you know the style of podcast that I do, it's going to be about you and you're going to be talking more. So I typically don't find that with people that reach out to me, but people I reach out to, sometimes it's going to happen. Sometimes you're going to have people that just like, whoa, this is like kind of an actual studio. Like, what's going on here?
They
like,
see the lights, they're like, oh fuck, the cameras too. Oh damn, I didn't expect this.
And I think for me, I don't know if you have kind of implemented something like this for yourself, but like having a pre-interview during I try to keep it within 30 minutes. Sometimes like I just haven't seen someone mad long and we'll talk for an hour before the podcast and it happens. But I try to like be respectful of people's time to like not take up like 4 or 5 hours. But like if someone wants to hang out 4 or 5 hours, I mean, if I have the time, I'll do that. But warming them up a little bit, kind of talking a little bit. Usually in the past, I would talk about maybe struggles in like past relationships, or like maybe I'm like looking to buy a house, or talking about something that's relevant to my life that's happening, to let them know this is like a comfortable space to share things. And in that process, usually people will start to open up, and it's a way to kind of, you're trying to find a way to connect with that person and relate on some level. So when it's time to interview them, they feel like they can trust you almost, because you have to earn their trust sometimes when you haven't met them. And obviously they're going to be nervous. Like almost every person I ever have on is somewhat nervous. People who've done content like yourself or Wally, typically not nervous because you guys do content, so you just know what it's like. Or people who do any type of stuff on social media, if they post themselves a lot, usually they're more comfortable behind the microphone and the camera. But for someone who's not, you have to keep that in mind and kind of work them into it a little bit. And sometimes you're going to talk more. Sometimes you're going to talk less. Sometimes it's going to be pretty equal. And like accepting that challenge is like kind of like my favorite part of it, is like, what kind of episode is this going to be? But I also let people know that like there's no such thing as talking too much. There's no such thing as talking too little. I know how to balance either one. I encourage to talk more. I'm like, just jump in, like just talk over me, because like I'll just fucking yap on for days. Because like as a host, you don't want dead air.
Exactly.
Like so you have to figure out a way to like fill up as much space without taking too much shine away from the person. So like that's sometimes hard when they're not giving as much. And I hate when it becomes a little bit more of an interview versus a conversation. But it's gonna happen. So I would say,
especially for first time people get on
yeah,
podcasts too.
I would say, I don't know if you do it like, but sharing pieces of yourself or something that you're going through.
100%. Like going, like you're saying, that 30 minutes. It's funny, actually. I don't mean to like change
No, you're
direction
good.
or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but no, I just want to say like I started to do that now recently too, because again, like even though I'm a very I can break people's shells pretty easily, like getting them comfortable even during the podcast, but stuff like it's definitely more lax though. It's better to have them lax before you start, because then like by the time I get them lax, it's probably like halfway through the episode, and then you start really getting like deeper into the stuff. And I only do like an hour minimum, because I don't expect anyone to watch any more than an hour. So
Same.
but then again, I'm like, honestly, I thought it was actually pretty cool that they gave me feedback on, was because there was one time they came early, like 30 minutes early. I was like, oh shit, I haven't even set up the mics or anything like that. So they literally were just like watching me and like helping me set up the sit. And they're like, honestly, like I'm like, it made me a lot more comfortable to see you just like set these up and like microphone, because it just shows like you're just you're human. Like you're just like, I don't know, it's just like human. I guess that human aspect of like, it's not like me walk into here where someone like first time be like, oh shit, like you got a fucking goddamn banner, you got the cameras, the thing. It's like, holy, I mean, I only got GoPros and stuff like that, so it's not like too crazy. But like, I think just seeing the process of you like building the studio like in front of them is like humbling and like relaxing. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's just that's what they gave me, that input that really opened my eyes too. And like even I started just like, all right, I'll do it, like start setting my shit 15 minutes, and then like by the time they get there, I'll be chatting for a bit, like 15 minutes, like, oh hey, like how you doing? I'm like, oh, you mind plugging that in for me, blah blah blah, like all this shit, and like they'll slowly start to open up too, and they're like, oh, what got you into this and all that stuff. So that's kind of like my way of like, I think that helps when trying to like, I guess, butter up my guests and stuff like that, get them used to it too. But it's awesome too. Like I can imagine like the people who've come on, most of your guests I can imagine have been first time podcast, like coming on podcasts, right?
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah. So, and it's to hear their comments after though and be like, wow, like that was a really like comfortable environment for I'm like, thank you. And it's good because it's going to open their avenue to make other connections, like maybe get on more podcasts, and then maybe they send you a recommendation. Oh, like look at, I got a person that'd be great for your podcast and all that stuff too. So it's good to hear that like we have the capability as podcasters to get people to be their true selves, because that's harder and harder to find nowadays, for people to be themselves, because they're so afraid of not even just cancel culture. I know that was a topic we talked about the first episode too, but just society in general now with the internet, we're so quick to just point fingers and be like, oh, like a quote, like it was just from a song. It's just like, you make one mistake and they forget everything else you made. And like that really is true. Like, it could be with family, it could be friends, it could be, of course, society. They always just look at your negatives, but we have to realize like, we're humans. We're here to live a human experience. Like we're here to get wrongs and learn from those wrongs to become right. And I wish people would be more humbling of that.
Yeah, we're dynamic. There's a lot of different aspects to people, and like to judge people off specific events that happen in life, that's like somewhat unfair. Like obviously some actions are going to be worse than others. That's just like that happens in life. But I think us as like podcasters, like focusing on the art. I literally made an episode all about this, like the art of communication.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that episode.
and like,
that was a great episode. You guys gotta watch that one. The art of communication. If just give it a watch.
episode 102.
Oh shit, on point.
Yeah, I do pretty good at remembering most episode numbers. Like I have like this weird like visual like photography memory of just like when someone, like right before, I think when we sit down and like I hit record and everything, I'd like kind of flash back to like every person that's ever sat across from me, and like what that actually means for me. And there's like a certain level of responsibility that I have to continue doing this and be respectful of everyone that I've ever interviewed. And for me, that's why like I've tried to remain neutral on a lot of my points. Like I don't like talking about certain topics because like I don't want to be a divisive podcast. I don't want to push people away. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable to come onto my show, because my show is directed towards open up about your life, like opening up about mental health, talking about stuff that could ultimately benefit other people. And if I leaned political, or if I leaned like into like a lot of like the gender stuff, or I leaned into like on any divisive topic,
Yeah.
I could push away a whole audience of people that would be great guests to interview, and like people that I might not relate on with certain stuff, but could teach me a lot about themselves and myself in the process.
Mm.
So for me, that's why I've kind of always tried to remain pretty neutral on a lot of topics, because one, that's not the goal for my conversation, and two, I want to encourage more conversation with people. Because I remember I had a few weeks ago, my buddy Johnny Costa came on for a repeat episode, and he's like, after that first episode that I did, he's like, really made me think, like, that was like one of the longer conversations that I've ever had with someone in a long time. And a lot of people could probably relate to that. Like, people aren't communicating the way they once did. And to kind of just sit down, like, yes, we have a camera and all the lights and everything, it's recorded, we get that. But we're sitting down, we're not using our phones like that, and we're just having a human connection. And that's always been the driving force of my podcast. And it seems like for you as well, that's been like a huge part of Spawncast podcast, is to be able to kind of talk to people about what they do, why they do it. And like, then you mix in some other stuff too, because it's a conversation. Like, we talked about video games for the first 15 minutes of this. Like, it's not so much like, and this is more, I guess, for people that return on the podcast. It's not so much of like and like a whole line of what we need to say. It's a conversation. We'll go where the conversation takes us, and like, that's pure podcasting. I always think of like Joe Rogan as like my playbook. Is like,
Mhm.
he just talks. They just talk about stuff. Yes, they go in probably with a certain agenda almost of what they want to talk about, but they allow it to just breathe and be itself. And I think that's how things blossom, is when you give it water, fresh air, sunlight. We're like
Mhm.
plants almost. So if you let
Yeah.
the conversation grow, it could turn into something really great and beautiful, like it's like turning into right now. So it's like allowing it to kind of just be. So I imagine that's something you experience too, and especially going out there where you're not from originally, putting yourself in environments that you're not like completely comfortable with, in the sense of just like, it's not home. Like, you grew up in this area, like you didn't grow up down there. So it's like just a total change of pace, and I think that's pretty cool. And like, putting yourself in those like shows, like I saw you put in like different like almost like concerts and stuff that were
Oh
kind of
yeah,
happening.
yeah, the
Like,
vendors and all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah, that
with
was
the
a cool
vendors and stuff.
experience.
What was that stuff like? That shit was really
Yeah,
dope.
oh yeah, so like yeah, I guess this is the birth. Yeah, this is the birth of Spawncast podcast, guys. If you want, so yeah, when I moved down, man, I was thinking about, I was like, start doing interview styles and stuff like that. And it started off with episode 1. Shout out to JCat, episode 1. He had a studio. Because he's a sound engineer, so he's like, oh, I have a studio if you want to rent it out. And this was before I even bought the Roadcaster, so I was like, oh, I want to start somewhere, so fuck it. I started doing, I think it was the first fifth, I think like around 20, 15, 20. Actually, wait, no, actually, I think by episode probably 12 is when I bought the Roadcaster. And then that's when I was like, I want to start like making it, spontaneous, go to random, bring the studio to people as well, because I think, again, going back to our thing of how and that's another great thing of giving flowers to you again, because it's a skill to have people come to you and break out of their shells and have that, to bring people to be their most comforting selves, and
Originally, I used to go to people too.
yeah,
Like,
really?
that's what I started as, and
Oh,
then
okay.
once I got more equipment,
Yeah.
it becomes harder.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
You can't bring fucking all this shit, especially to set up. My God, I can't even
Yeah.
imagine. Like that would just be so tedious too after a while, and like, and that's why I'm like, again, appreciating the journey of me being able to just like, all right, you want, like, I actually have 2 podcasts, like going back south, like shout out to the Pink Sweet Box in Virginia. I'm gonna have her and that company on, so I'm gonna literally go to their restaurant, and that's the thing I think is cool too. That I want, now that I'm like been doing video, is you get to actually see the environment of this individual, like what, like this is like a part of them, like their business or whatever it is. And what I mean, I've even had people like comment like, wow, it's really cool that, for example, episode 76. See, I'm not very good with you like with numbers, but shout out to Sunday Scoops, Philip and Sibs, great individuals. They make homemade ice cream like from scratch, beautiful things, and like they were like, oh, I love that you were just in the like in the store, and you can literally see the customers just walking by, waving at him. He's waving, but it's just the human aspect. It's like, nothing's perfect. We're so like, obviously technology, like we're, with editing, Photoshop, everything, especially social media. My God, it's like, and that's something I've been going through mentally. That's another story we can get to after in a bit. But it's a falsehood. It's comparison. It's comparison is a thief of joy. And that's something I have to keep reminding myself too. Like these are people on, social media just posting that for that tension and or their perfect life, even though everyone has their downs, everyone has their ups, not everything is depicted in they're showing you what they want to depict in their life, and that's what people have to remember. Like, it, of course, you have these, I'm not saying don't look up to people who, like David Goggins, stuff like that, what I mean, stuff like that, but like I think just having that healthy balance to understand, like people are human too. They might have their days and stuff like that, but and to understand, like, you're a part of the journey too. You're doing exactly what they're doing. It's just they're publicizing it more.
Yeah, dude. Actually, like the last several weeks, I've been on like a huge unfollow spree.
Really?
Like,
Okay.
just different accounts, like, and I followed a lot of it was like quote pages that I was using to inspire my TikTok stuff that I've kind of, like I mentioned off podcast and on podcast, I've taken major steps back and not really just posting content. And this will be kind of like our spin into like talking about social media. And I've just been unfollowing like athletes, like rappers, like people. It's like you said, they're just people too. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I don't really care what they're posting. Like, it's not, if they have something big news related, I will see it on Twitter. I will see it on like the world stars. Like, I will see the major stuff posted. I don't need to be following these people like a true fan. Like, I don't care to. I would rather follow people that I actually care about. Like, these people don't care about me. I want to follow the people that care about me and I can care about them. Like the mutual exchange almost. So the last like several weeks I've just been unfollowing mad accounts and like changing my whole like thought process around content in general. And I would say a lot of credit goes to like the relationship that I've been able to form. And it's just been a total change in mindset in the way that I look at things. Like I like was talking to you off air, was
Yeah.
like a lot of it was like attention seeking, like wanting the validation. And I'm very open about that with the content on TikTok and even just Instagram. Like, if you don't admit on some level that you're looking for some sort of attention when you post, you're lying to yourself, because that's half the reason that people will post. You could say some of it's for yourself. I'm not going to fully argue that point, but the fact that people like it is a dopamine hit that they've already proven in several different studies that you can check. So when I look at social media now, I don't need the external validation because I'm good with what I got. I'm happy with where I'm at. And actually, this is kind of the happiest I've been in a really, really long time. And like, my mindset with the podcast has become
I'm
more
happy to
pure.
hear that, man. Truly,
I
like,
appreciate
seriously.
that.
No, of course, man. Seriously, I'm really happy, and that's more people need to strive for that, to find, like, of course, like, to have that understanding of realization, like you said, like, I'm looking for external. Like, you have to start looking within. Like, external things can, because if we keep another thing I was reading recently, it's like it was like a Buddhist like a quote and stuff like that, but I'm going to butcher it. But if we continue to seek, to always achieve this goal of continuously being happy, then we're never gonna reach that happiness, in a sense of, like, life is chaotic. It's gonna always have its ups, its downs, its lefts, its rights, and stuff like that. But if we can at least within find that balance of mental health and realize, like, especially social media, like, makes us like detach from, like, distracts us from actually taking the time to look within, because they're so focused on, what's this person doing, what's this new, what's the news, and the thing is, it's psychological, of course, like, what I mean, shout out to these fucking algorithms, what I mean, they're fucking good. What I mean, like,
Facts,
yeah,
though. Facts.
they do their fucking job, like, but it's there's studies out there, and that's something I've been working on too, is cutting myself off of social media, like only going to like post on like Spawncast or like talk to guests, obviously, to book. But it's just, you have to notice, it's just really affected like my mental health as well, like emotionally, and like trying to, I'm like, I don't need this. Like, I find myself waking up and going to my phone. It's like, well, and again, that's external like love I'm trying to find. Like, oh, did someone like my post? Did someone like this? Like, no, like, there was actually a great podcast I'm going to recommend to you too, man. Literally, like, I'm not even gonna lie, I brought tears to my eyes. It was like, I forget the gentleman's name, but he was just pointing out the challenges that men face nowadays. Like, there's no like uh, there's no structure in they don't have structure in their life. They don't have like a routine, like, and that's something that helps in the beginning with your mental, like, what I mean, like with your workouts, and how, before the podcast, you're like, damn, like, I just want to fucking work out. Cause it's, you know what I mean? It's a healthy fucking routine. And it's just, again, the routine, to establish the structure that you have to follow. Because if we don't have like a routine to follow, it fucks with our brains. Like if it's just, I don't know, like, me starting to run more, I realize like if like it fucks with my mental. Like that's where I find my peace, is when I'm in the middle of a run. Like, oh, you little fucking bitch, you better fucking push this, you son of a bitch. Yo, you're gonna just stop at fucking 3.5. Oh, you're already fucking close to 4, bitch. You better fucking get. You know what I mean? It's, again, having that challenge for ourselves, that pushing ourselves to do uncomfortable things. Sorry, I'm kind of going on a rant. Kind of
No,
like
you're
went off
good.
topic.
We call it the Wally rant.
Yeah, the Wally rant, yeah. It's
I
the
hope he
it's the
listens to this.
It's the shirt. I'm telling you, it's just like Wally.
Pulling through.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to this. Have you ever watched the documentary Social Dilemma by any chance?
I want to say, I know
It's
of
on
it.
Netflix.
Yeah. I want to say it did, because like this, it's a few years old at this point, right?
Yeah. Because Joe Rogan talked about it a while back. That's why. And,
I probably did, but it's been a couple years, so it's like not like super present in my mind right now.
Yeah, but I watched it recently, man, and like you said, it's so fascinating, and how, and like, we know, like, before we got on the podcast, we were talking about how, society, we know these things, like, for example, like the whole Epstein and all this shit. Like, we know of these atrocities and crazy shit that happened, but we don't like know, like, we don't know how deep it goes. Like, so going back to social media, like, oh, we know we're being manipulated and shit, but then you realize like how psychologically impacts your life every day, and even how like you react to certain things in your day to day, or how you move and make your next actions, and it's, dude, it's addicting, and that's why I realized it myself. Like I would sit on my phone and realize I'm just in that Instagram portal, just constantly. So I'm like, what the fuck am I even looking at? Like I like wake up, I'm like, oh, like, what the fuck was I even scrolling for?
Yeah, that's part of the reason I've started unfollowing a lot of these accounts, because I'm like, I just don't care. Like, I don't care about this shit. Like, and especially as a guy, and especially as someone who's been open about relationship struggles, to have finally feel like I found something that's fulfilling and loving and caring. It's completely changed the way that I've been like approaching a lot of my stuff. And I've always kind of been like deep down emotional lover boy. Like, I'll never lie about that.
Certified lover boys.
It's kind of always been there, but like, obviously, especially nowadays, the dating market has been so destroyed by just social media and dating apps in general.
Feminism, you got fucking.
There's a lot of
so
shit.
Many things,
yeah,
so many things.
There's a lot of shit that goes into that cauldron that's really messed it up for pretty much everybody. But having something positive in my life, that when I don't like to talk too much about my relationship on the podcast. I try to keep that
of course
private, but I'm not on my phone. Like, neither of us will be on our phone. We're just focused about being in the moment. And like, that's something that I've always looked for. And to have that with someone is just so genuine. And like, the positive effect of that has rolled into my own life. It's like, aside from just like that relationship within just work, I'm more appreciative of just like being around certain people. I'm more appreciative of having a job. I'm appreciative of being able to do this podcast, to interview people, and taking a step back from the TikTok stuff. Like, I will probably post eventually, because I mean, I have like 60K on that account. I should probably do something with it, but not posting sad breakup stuff. It's just not, one, it's not good for a positive, healthy relationship to post that. So like, that was part of it. And it just wasn't fulfilling. Like, it was addicting. Like you said, like, social media is addicting, and like the constant feeling of getting likes and views was addicting. And I talked about that before on separate episodes, but like, that change for me has been like really noticeable. And like, even the way that like I approach my content, and like, I don't care who listens. I want to just focus on having a good conversation with whoever I'm interviewing that week, and trying to like allow them a space where they can talk about who they are, and getting back towards the base root of why I started doing this in the first place. And that is like something I've really been proud of this year, is like shifting from just like the content creator to more of just being a human, like a person talking to other people. And yeah, I still do the content. I still do podcasting, like, but it's more getting back to what it was versus what it kind of was becoming. And I think being able to like analyze that as you do it is a positive thing in content creation, because you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have years that you're going to focus on other things versus other, like, different like topics, or different like editing styles, different camera angles, different microphones. Like, there's so many things that you could change each year to year, but focusing on what you actually want to do with the content at the end of the day is the most important thing that you could possibly look at. So I think with what you're doing, I think you're approaching the things in a way that I would. So maybe again, a little bit of bias,
Yeah.
but I think it's amazing. Like, because I could tell that you were always a conversationalist even before you're doing the podcast. When we talked, like it was just easy to have a conversation with you. So like I could see that translating really well in your podcast and like allowing people to just like talk about things. And I think that's always dope, man. I think
It's,
with what you're doing is great.
no,
Go ahead.
thank you, man. And again, kudos to you, flowers to you and your podcast, man, because we need more people to have these platforms. Because another thing, I actually like I was listening to the PBD podcast.
Yeah, I
Yo,
like that.
dude,
Yeah.
great fucking content, great individuals that they have on, man. Like, I recommend that podcast too. I learned a lot
Just
from
based political stuff too. I like that.
Yeah.
It's just no bullshit. It's just like them talking about what it is, and like that's why social media content creators and YouTubers and podcasters are becoming the new media.
Yes, exactly. Yo, that was what I was gonna say. Like, I mean, it's so funny how we give these news outlets such relevance in our lives, but in actuality, like, dude, like no one fucking watches news, and the only reason they see news stuff like from like CNN, Fox, and stuff like that is because of YouTube clips and stuff like that. No one goes to cable anymore. Everything's internet. Everything's streamed. Like it's leaning more toward independence, like independent artists, stuff like that. It's people are starting to be more diversified with their knowledge as well because they realize that there is a monopoly on knowledge. There is a monopoly. No, I wouldn't say, in a sense, there is, because you have censorship and shit like happening, but I wouldn't say a monopoly on knowledge because we can just pull up our phone and search shit up. But even then, it's like we do lack, especially now with Chat GPT and like all this technology now. Like what's truly, it's going to make us question a lot of things of just more of the knowledge that's being put out there. Like, is this really, is this bullshit? Is this even like what's crazy is those deep fake edits like for videos.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You see like fucking ones of like, I don't know, Biden or even like Trump and Obama like playing Call of Duty or something. It's like Trump, you can't do a 360 fucking no scopey bitch. He's like Biden's like, watch me fucking punk.
It's crazy how it just like feels like it came out of nowhere. Like we knew this stuff was coming, but like it just like it's everywhere. Like I see all the time right now. It's like really big of like AI like making like the voice edits for music. Like Drake songs were going viral, and they're not even Drake songs. Like,
wait, what?
You didn't see like all over
I've
TikTok.
heard about it, but I didn't know if it was just like
TikTok was like there was like one specific like AI generated song of his, but it wasn't him. Obviously, it was like a voice edited, and
it was actually good.
It was going viral. Like, and it's like somewhat of that is kind of interesting. Where like, say someone like Juice World, or say someone like super famous, like even like Michael Jackson, with AI, they could possibly never die in terms of music. Is it ethical? Hell no. But like, this opens up an entire new door because it's only going to get better. Like, it's only going to get better at recognizing voice, copying human like inflection on words and stuff like that. So like, it could get very scary, like you said, and that's something I'm like, I hope they make some type of regulation because like, this could get very sticky and very gross for a lot of people, especially artists. Like, I feel very bad for them. Like, luckily Drake's like super famous, so like he could like kind of end that shit quick with a quick like cease and desist. But like someone like Juice World, like his entourage, like, or his team has to probably like defend him. Like it just becomes harder and harder to do that, and like it's just so weird where this is like going. Like, I don't know if you have seen like the Snapchat AI and stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
the
just,
fucking robot.
I refuse to update my phone because I don't even, or update Snapchat because I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want that on my phone. Like, I just like the fact that people didn't have a choice for it.
Yep.
That's even weirder to me.
Yeah, dude, because I was like bugging. I seen the update. I was like, all right, update. I didn't even see the chat thing. I was like, now I'm like, what the fuck? This chat AI is now on the top all the time. Like, fuck you. Like, I don't need you. Like, why am I going to like?
There's a way to unpin it. I forget.
Really?
Yeah, you could probably Google. I forget. I saw it on TikTok. Someone figured out how to unpin it.
Good.
But you
Fuck
can't.
That guy.
You can't delete it though, which is so weird. You could just unpin it so it removes it from like the feed, basically. But I'm like, I don't even want that thing on my thing. I see so many fucking people on Twitter sharing like it, asking questions that it like incriminates itself, basically. Like, apparently, it's not supposed to track your location. But then if you ask for recommendations of like where to eat and stuff, it knows exactly where to send stuff. So it's like, how do you know that if you're not supposed to know my location? How can you recommend places near me if you don't know my location? Like, they just catch it in lies like every single time. So it's like, it's weird how aware it could be or it could become. It's scary. It's like technology grows where this goes.
And that's actually going back to you saying like how it copies voices like Drake. Actually, it's funny. The same, PBB, I was listening to a commercial came on while I was listening on my run, and it was like an AI that can do it was something for podcasts. It was like doing fill-ins for like some shit, but it said you can even copy your own voice. I'm like, yo, so tell me you can have a whole podcast and it won't even be you. Like one day you can literally have like, I don't know, maybe a generated like version of me and then like you, and just have it make its own conversation between us two from, you know, the knowledge of previous episodes or all your episodes and then all of my shit, and then like make a formulated like conversation like, oh wow, they really made that episode together. We're like, no, like, and then you have to fucking find a lawsuit, some who the fuck made this and shit. But
it's sketchy. It just becomes so unethical to me. Like it's just like to continue. It's in terms of like science, super dope, but like in terms of just human nature, super wrong to me. It's like I want to see this go, but I don't. Like I don't know if you saw the thing recently where, I don't know if it's technically AI, but Photoshop is starting to incorporate some of this where the AI can basically take your photo and do all the editing for you. So like say you have a picture of like a little astronaut. This was like the example, and you could change the background for you. Just type in what you want basically, and it just changed the photo for you. So it's like it's scary because it could eliminate so many jobs for people too.
100%.
So it's like there's a lot of shit there that's like,
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if we're really ready for this. It's like, it's interesting.
It's going to be a huge change in society. You know, it's, you know, like you said, even creatives are, you know, getting, you know, threatened with this AI technology. Actually, one of my friends, tattoo artist from Florida, well, she told me like her acquaintance that she knows from New York. She worked for this, you know, graphics, like, you know, making like a show or something, and they, you know, told her to make a, you know, few frames with like this character or whatever, and then they had an AI just do the rest. I'm like, all right, it's fired her. I'm like, damn, you know, it's just, and that's the thing too. Like once the robot has that knowledge of baseline, you know, shit, it's where can you go from there? You know, it's like, what's the point of creative artists if you're just gonna, you know, have a robot do everything now? You have robots making movie scripts. You have robots fucking, you know, you have kids using it for make essays for college. You know, it's like how do you depict that between, you know, if it's real or not? It's going to question again a lot of the basic common sense knowledge of even people in the future. You know, people growing up and like, oh, tomatoes really made out of fucking, you know, fucking plastic. I don't know. It's a random thing.
Yeah.
It's spontaneous, but it's definitely going to skew a lot of people and like make us more hesitant on knowledge that is being put out there and stuff, which I hope would wake people up to like dig more and do research on certain things. But you never know. Some people just don't want to do that due diligence as well.
Yeah,
know?
no, coming a little bit full circle, it would be so kind of contrary to like the scariness is like if a game like I saw possible rumors of games like this doing that, but like GTA 6 making their NPCs with AI. So like they have reactions and stuff basically. So like it's more of a world versus just an actual NPC. Like they could react to stuff. Imagine that like you punch a random NPC, but they remember that next time you come across and they can still punch you or something. Like that would make the game so much more interactive and stuff like that. It's like this could be really cool and exciting. But then it's like stuff like you were just mentioning, like taking away jobs in terms of art. It's really gonna hurt artists, like creatives, basically. Because like if AI computer basically could do it faster, cheaper, businesses are always gonna go with that. It's just been the model of capitalism for so long. So it's scary that there's a chance that this technology can really take over, and who knows? We'll see what the future holds. But we are getting towards the end of the podcast.
Let me drop this one thing. Okay,
I was going to give you.
It's a great topic. No, but the GTA thing, that is pretty scary though as well, because now that enters us into the world of like I forget the name of the movie where it's like, you know, people just game over.
I think it was The Sims that they were talking about this, which is even scarier. The fact that they could give like conscious like thought to the Sims. So like they know what we're doing. Like you're like the creator, but like you're doing stuff to them and they're aware of it. Or like it's just like I think it was The Sims. I think they're working on like AI in The Sims, which would be
goddamn. But and then like hopefully, and then not hopefully, but it's like then they'll do VR. Then people want to just stay in that world because it's so much a better reality. And then that's a whole other fucking crazy
gaming could be really cool though.
Yeah, true. My God, those
Ready Player One vibes coming up.
Yo, my God, that would be. Imagine you do an episode on a fucking Sims like episode, like a VR. You're in a VR, and you're just like doing a podcast, like same setting.
Dude, imagine being like you're saying in VR, in like a virtual place, like you said, doing a pod, like say we meet in a virtual world and do a virtual podcast.
Yeah.
Like that's
Sorry,
just
man.
great.
The internet traffic was crazy, man. It took me a bit to get here.
That sounds kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. Like if we could eventually get that technology, scary, but like
one day, man. Shit, it's, you know what I mean. Seeing how much we've advanced now, just from our childhoods, like now seeing like fucking the first iPhone to now, dude. I wouldn't be surprised within like we're 40s or shit. Like
could be sooner. You never even fucking know. And I think FDA just passed Neuralink basically, so they can start doing human trials basically, and that opens a crazy fucking door.
Terminator.
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, if AI is as smart as this, I mean, it could possibly make us even smarter. But I don't know, there's just so much. Like you put that in a human, the people who don't have it are going to be at such a disadvantage. Like at least mentally speaking, in terms of thoughts and like being able to access knowledge, but like, we don't know the health benefits of what or the health consequences of putting that into someone's brain. Like we don't even fucking know. But like I said, I want to start wrapping this stuff up, tying the knots and the stuff. It's been a great podcast. We've gone on so many different things, so many great talking points. I want to give you kind of the floor to kind of like say your piece with stuff, plug your stuff, like anything that you kind of want to wrap stuff up, whether you want to leave a little motivational or just plug your stuff, whatever you want to do.
I'm going to start with this plugins, guys. This is Elijah, the Spawncast podcast. Follow me on all streaming platforms, Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, SoundCloud. I don't know if it's on SoundCloud, actually. Well, I do have my rapper EHD on SoundCloud. That's like a super secret. But what was it? Spotify. Fuck. Castbox. That's what the other one. But yeah, all those streaming platforms. I have a YouTube and a Rumble. Spawncast podcast if you want to see the videos. And I want to. Oh, and my artwork. If you want to, see my art, d.e.art47 on Instagram. That's d.e.art47. And I just want to leave a thing because it's something actually like, again, going through like emotions and realizing like we're very hard on ourselves. And I want you guys to understand the emotions that you think people perceive onto you is not what you perceive. I used to think a lot of people would look at me as a failure and all these things. And I realized those are just the ideas that come through my head. And I'm perceiving these thoughts onto other people. So don't put yourself down. Once you see yourself going to that negative path, just switch it up and you're doing great. Love yourself. And what was it? Oh yeah. Do the best you can for yourselves and the communities around you because you know why. You fucking deserve it. And that's it, man. Thank you again so much, Carroll. I appreciate you, man. It's awesome.
It's always a great time to have you on the podcast, and I look forward to our next episode, man.
Man. Get you on the podcast next time. Maybe if you come to Virginia.
Hell yeah. We could plan something like that. Get fucking, why am I blanking? Wally and Gio do a little road trip or something, try to come out there.
Yeah, dude.
Could plan something.
Well, I was going to say, we're in group chats. We'll figure
something out. But if you guys listen to the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, like, share with your friends, share with your family, share with your grandma. Check it out, thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major listening platforms. If you'd like to watch a podcast, check it out on YouTube. Search The Carroll Connection or at Jared M. Carroll. And if you want to be a guest or return as a guest, hit me up on Instagram at Jared M. Carroll or at The Carroll Connection. Till next time, guys. Peace.